Hey, beautiful souls and creative minds. Welcome to the Artist Stoop, the podcast where we turn the art world into your personal playground. I'm Jillian Zapata, your host, and I can't wait to dive into the art world with you. Each episode will be kicking it with an incredible artist, unraveling their stories and turning the spotlight on the magic that happens beyond the brush. Get ready to discover new perspectives, forge connections, and immerse yourself one captivating conversation at a time. So grab your favorite beverage, maybe a sketchbook, and let's jump into the kaleidoscope of creativity together. This is the Artist Stoop, where art isn't just a thing you see, it's an experience you feel. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Artist Stoop. Today, we have artist Melissa Ellis, a talented Dallas-based artist known for her hand-sculpted oil painting using palette knives. Her work is a blend of bold colors and striking black and white pieces, and it's often described as organized chaos. Melissa's unique style creates motion, texture, and depth with every stroke. Join us today as we explore her creative journey and her techniques. So welcome, Melissa, to the podcast.
All right, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, and I had to work to get you on here, I have to say. When I first started, thinking about like who I wanted to have on here, I went on my Instagram and like looked at all the artists that I wanted to like be on here. And I remember emailing you and I was like, oh, she didn't respond. She seems really busy. She has a lot of followers, so she's really busy. And then it took me tracking you down at the DGFA event going, did you get my email?
And then we connected and here we are.
And then it was just kind of like, oh, I like her. We could be friends. Exactly. So, yeah. So I'm excited that I finally, obviously now that we've hung out a few times, I've seen your work in person, and you are truly just one of the most genuine, friendliest people, and you are a busy woman about town here in Dallas.
I am. I keep a pretty busy schedule. It's just kind of my nature, but also comes with the territory of being an artist. So if you're not out and about and working and getting the job done, I'm a one-man show. So if I don't do it, nobody else is going to do it for me. So gotta keep going.
I think that's really interesting, and for artists, because it's true. It's just like we have to be our own networkers, marketers, everything. And so it's just like if we don't show up to things, if we don't put our faces out there and like shake hands with people, no one's gonna discover us just quietly sitting in our studios.
Yeah, I mean, I always say you could be Picasso, but if your work's just at your house or your studio and you never go out and nobody can ever discover it, then it's not going to make the impact that it could if you actually get out and meet people and put your work out there. And so it's a very full-time job.
It is, and it's exhausting and tiresome. But then like there's also like the people that you get to meet, the friends that you get to have in the art world, and like a few times that I've gone out and I've seen you out at events, and the close-knit community of people that like are in your I don't know what your tribe, yeah. Your fellow artists. I was like your pack. I was like, no, we're not a pack of wolves. Your tribe. It's just like everyone is so genuinely nice, and that's one thing I've noticed. Because being from the outside and coming into a group or coming into a community, I've discovered that Dallas genuinely has like one of the nicest art communities. Yeah. And it's because of people like you and the galleries and whatnot. And it's really special.
It's incredible. It's one of my favorite things. I mean, obviously I love art and I'm grateful, but this is what I get to do for a living, but we do it together. Being an artist can be really lonely. A lot of times you are alone in the studio and you're putting yourself out there, whatever your medium is, and it's very vulnerable and can be kind of scary at times. And when I first started, I did not have any community. I had friends, and I love all my friends. They're incredible. But they weren't artists, and they didn't really understand, what are you doing? And what is your lifestyle? And just kind of, what does your work day look like? It oftentimes on the outside can look like just a lot of fun.
Hmm.
And it is fun, but it's really hard on a
Yeah.
lot of levels. And I didn't have anybody. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know how to show my work. And so I just started showing up places. Looked online, found how to turn your hobby into a business. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And slowly through that, started meeting people. And now it's just grown into this incredibly beautiful, amazing community of people in all different genres. It's not just painters. I've got friends in music, in film, in writing, in dance, in anything. And well, yeah, we're kind of built the same, right? Our brains are
We are.
wired a little differently. And we need each other. We need to bounce ideas off of each other. We don't just go to work and have all these colleagues and somebody tells you what to do and here's the handbook and you can go to school for art, but they don't teach you business.
No, they
And
don't.
when we come together, I've learned everything by trial and error. This took me a long time. And isn't it better if you can work together and go, so I did that and I tried that. This is what worked. This didn't work. And try this. And oh, I know somebody that would fit for here. And we can go so much further when we do it together.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. So let's actually dive into your work. And one of the things, like, your work screams, I want to touch it. I want to touch it.
Yeah.
Just because it's sculptural and it's coming off the canvas. And I'm sure you get this all the time. So tell us how you came up with doing the sculptural pieces and maybe the process of the palette knife painting.
So I've always loved painting. I've been doing art since I was little bitty. As soon as I could hold a pencil, I started drawing and coloring. And kind of my first love was always colored pencils. You can do so much shading and blending and drawing, and I love a sharp edge. And so I did that forever. And it wasn't until college that I ever picked up a paintbrush. I went to school for art history and had to take studio classes. So I loved painting, but I was terrified of it. And so I took everything but painting. I took sculpture, woodworking, metalsmithing. I took all these different classes. And then for my 21st birthday, my amazing friends, they moved me to a surprise party and they bought me paintbrushes, one of the easels I still paint on today. And they said, you've been
Oh,
talking about this. Let's see you do it. I was like, I don't know how to do this. So my birthday is in December, and so the following semester I signed up for Painting 101, and my friends had bought me all acrylic paint, and my class was in oil. And I put myself through college, and a pack of oil paint about this big was $300.
I know.
And I
It's
was like,
expensive.
that's so much money, and I've never even done this, but I'll just work extra shifts and I'll figure it out, and I'm going to do it. So I took that. It's the only class I'd ever taken was the one oil painting class. Um, but I fell in love with it immediately. It's so blendable and malleable and limitless. And so after college, I was just kind of dabbling. I was working full time for a nonprofit and had very small space, didn't have a lot of room to paint. Painting takes up a lot of space. And so I was doing small works and I painted a tree. I'm inspired by nature and I was painting a tree. And I finished it and I really liked that. It felt like it was really missing something. And so I had my palette knives, which I just used to like mix paint. And I was like, what if I had to make little flower buds on this tree? And they were small, but it gave it that extra depth. And I was like, that's what it was missing.
Mhm.
And I've always really loved abstract work. And so while I was doing that, I was also doing flat blended oil paintings. So I decided to take the idea of the flower and add it to my blended backgrounds and was doing just little pattern work, not the heavy texture that I'm doing today, the early stages of it. And it just gave it this extra pop, this dimension, this you kind of want to reach in. It gives you depth and motion and makes your eye move around in a different way. And then that's why I was doing those. Fast forward, I was asked to donate a painting to an auction. Great, love it. And oil paint takes a very, very long time to dry. And
Yes.
so I didn't have a huge window of time. And so I added liquid to the oil. And I was like, that helps speed up the drying time. Great. I painted my background. I added my keys. And liquid is very liquidy. And when I put it on, it just slid down the canvas. Gosh. I've just made a background. What am I going to do? What am I going to make for this auction? And I sat there and I was looking at it, and because it was multiple colors, it left the most beautiful streaks on the canvas. I was like, that's kind of interesting. What if I put paint on, scrape it off, put it on, scrape it off, and like it left a little bit of texture. And then over time, that has continued to develop into, well, what if I just leave the paint on instead of changing it? And what if I make it bigger? And then what if I change my eye shape? And what if I do multiple knives? And what if? And so every single style has developed out of that one little mistake.
That's awesome. I love that, it's so true as artists. Like everything that you see about our paintings and our works, they're all trial and error, all mistakes that happen. You're like, oh wait, that was kind of cool. Can I replicate that? Can I push that? Like it's that phrase, what if?
Mm-hmm.
What if?
Yeah.
Is I think in every artist repertoire, no matter, what type of artist you are, and it really does help push you forward. It's that one special part in our brain that we as all artists have that really make us unique and special. And like, oh, what if we did that? How would that work?
And
And
that's going to
that's
keep
really
leading
cool.
you to the next thing.
Yeah. And
It
it's
kind of
like,
unlocks something in your brain where you go, oh, well, if I do that, what if I do that? And what if I do that? One of the best pieces of advice I've ever been given was by a sculptural artist. This was years ago. We were showing at a gallery together, and we were chatting afterwards. He was asking about my work. And he said, Melissa, what are your rules? I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, what are your rules when you paint? Well, you're creating these art, do you have a certain order you do things in, or, how do you create? I said, well, I start in the top left corner and I work my way down and across and I, do my pattern. And he said, break your own rules. He said, if you start in the top left, start in the bottom right. And if you always turn your knife one way, turn it a different way. And I thought, that's so amazing. He said, if you start in the top left, start in the middle and go out. Go upside down, turn it around, use a different knife. You always turn it one way, turn it a different way. And when you break your own rules, it's the what ifs. Yeah. What if I grab this little and it turns into this? And so I've always really tried to follow that piece of advice. And I just think it's so brilliant. It's so easy to get stuck in your own ways. Mm-hmm. This is how we have routine, and this is how we like, even as artists who maybe don't always love routines and are great about that. But when it comes to a process, everybody has their process. And breaking your own rules can really get you out of your head and create something special.
Yeah, and like create something completely different than doing like the rinse and repeat that we're all, so used to.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that you say that, I was like, I do start a lot of my paintings the same way. I lay the canvas on the floor, I squirt the liquid acrylic, and then I move it around on the back. So I get painted on the back.
Exactly.
And then I put it up, and then I sketch out my bodies, and then I start going on top. And it's that rinse and repeat. And yeah,
and you don't even think about it.
No, you just have it.
Right? It's like brushing your teeth. You're thinking about a million other things, but you're doing just your routine. And art can very much be that. Not that you're not in the moment, but it's very second nature, and it's good to think outside your own box.
I love that. That thing. I'm
Break
gonna,
your own rules. A
I'm gonna,
challenge you.
I'm gonna break my own rules. I love
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna write that on the wall so that I remember. Um, so last night you were at an event, the Italy,
Italy.
literally Italy people,
Italy.
Eatly. It was um a fun, not a fundraiser, but just like an event for the place here in Dallas, for Italian food and like fresh pasta making and wine and I better
All you can
say,
eat and drink, 3 floors, music, multiple vendors there. And you just kind of walk around and enjoy yourself. They had a huge tent outside, cars, all kinds of stuff. It was really neat.
fun. And you were live painting.
Yes.
How did that go? Live painting with your, because it's very extensive how you set up your table. Like I've seen like photos how you have to have like all your blobs of color labeled and you, yeah.
Yep.
So how did actual, is that your first time live painting? From
No, I've
the,
actually done a lot of live painting. I haven't
okay.
done it as at an event like that too recently, but I've been doing it for a really long time. I love live painting. I love talking with people. I love watching live painting
Hmm.
and people just creating, making anything. So I think it's fun and engaging. Even if you don't want to come up and chat about it, you can kind of stand in the back and watch. Um, and because my process is so different, it tends to be very engaging. People have a lot of questions. And so my small pieces, I package in dessert boxes, like cake boxes,
Well,
and with
fun.
that clear top because I think that they look like candy and cakes and desserts. So it's fun to present them that way. So I had a whole section last night. I had a big table set of completed paintings, and then I painted live as well. But I kept all my pieces in the cake boxes and in the lids. And people kept coming over and being like, "Is that cake? Is that
Can I
candy?
eat that?
What's going on here?" And I was like, "No, they're oil paintings." And people were like, "What is happening right now?" Um, so that's how it is a kind of a fun game to play. Um, but it's I love painting live because it is so interactive. It's basically just getting to demo over and over again because I have so many different styles. I painted a starburst last night, and which is my most popular style. Um, but when I do those, it leads me into my other small minis. So I'm actually doing the demo both at the same time,
Oh,
which
cool.
is fun. So I'm explaining both processes in one conversation. Um, it's challenging because I can bring a lot of stuff. Well, I have to bring a lot of oil paint with me. Um, I did a really limited palette of only 20 colors, and
Limited. That's limited.
that is very limited for me. I typically do on the low end about 50, on the high end 75 or so colors, usually into like 65 different colors per piece, and I can't just do that mobily. That's a lot. Uh, a lot. Um, but that's also a good challenge. That's breaking my own rule. Okay, I normally do a lot of colors, so I better do this. Um, so it was fun. There were 1,500 people there. It was packed, and just got to chat. We met a ton of people, answer questions, met art lovers, met food lovers. Just a really really cool night. I love live painting. It's super fun.
You know, it sounded like a fun event. I wanted to come, but
Well, they're
mom
doing
duties.
twice a year, and I'm gonna do another one. I don't know if it'll be the one in the fall or not, but I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, and it's just like I was on mom duty last night. My kid's teething, so it's just like
Yeah,
we're not going very many places these
yeah,
days
yeah.
right now.
For now.
So yeah, for now. So all of your color palettes, your 65 color palettes, are these very bright, happy colors. Like when I see your work, all you just have this sense of joy and happy right when you see it. So how do you decide your color palettes? Is there like a process to that?
I mean, a little bit. I It depends, obviously, if I'm doing a commission, if it's for a client versus just for myself. Um, Typically, my clients also like a lot of color. I certainly have those that like more neutral palettes, so I can customize any palette. Um, Majority, though, I would say, 90% of my work is very colorful. I love color. My house is very colorful. I'm usually dressed very colorful. Color makes me extremely happy, and I want to be fully surrounded at all times. So, um, a lot of it's mood.
Mhm.
What am I feeling? Am I feeling more purple today? Am I feeling more pink today? Am I really just needing more yellow in my life? Um, because I use a lot of colors, it tends to be a lot of the same colors in there. But what I do really, I lay them out. So I've got a bunch of tables, and I always start with laying out just my tubes first. Do these colors work together? And I'll be looking for, I know this needs green, and I'll pull out, four additional greens. Not quite right. This is it. Or, and really play it out and lay them out, make sure that's right. Because once I start, cannot change my palette. So like it needs to be right. It's my number one first thing that I do. And really
Yeah.
just color goes well with color. So pile
Yes,
it
it
on.
does. Right? No, that's it's really interesting, like when everyone has their process about picking colors. Like
Mm,
I get inspiration from Pinterest, but like from interior design,
mm,
like mood boards
yeah.
or other artists' paintings that
Mm-hmm.
I'll look at color and see color combos and go, okay, yeah, that works. Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that chartreuse with that color. And so like that's how I pick, and I'm usually about a 5 color max kind of person, but that's just because my paintings, it just
Yeah.
it
Most
needs that
people
you
don't
have
use
your
it
dark
that
me.
much. I do. I realize
Yeah.
that.
But it's just I just love hearing other people's process about picking color. Like I've had other artists on here and they go, I don't know if that's colors as I've painted, and they just pop, and I was like, but you don't plan, like you don't plan your colors. They're like, no,
Yeah, I
no,
can't do that.
I can't
Not
either.
with not with my oil paintings. Not with
Yeah.
my sculptural pieces. I can with my flat work, but it's just not an option. And so it's feeling. What do I feel? Does this it should spark excitement in me. Right? If I
Mhm.
always know when something's a little off, where I put a color and I'm like, it's the wrong shade. It needs to be brighter or deeper. I need more contrast here. And I make sure that I don't lay out my colors together, like all the blues together, all the greens together. I mix it so that it's a full mix because that's how it'll end up looking on the canvas. And
Yeah.
lay them out and down. All right, let's insert it.
There you go. How long does it take you to actually like do one piece?
Depends on size,
Yeah.
but I hand style. Um, Anyway, the little ones I do in a day, I can usually do. Um, and they typically come from me doing larger pieces at the same time. It's pretty
Mm,
rare that I just sit down and make smalls without having something larger going on. My larger pieces, which is, I would say, on the small medium for me is like 36 by 36 to, I've got I just finished a 36 by 36 commission. I've got a 48 by 60 coming up and a 60 by 80. So
oh, good
I
lord.
typically like to work pretty
Big.
big. I mean, give me a whole wall. Like I love
Yeah.
them. They're really big. Obviously, the bigger this, longer it's going to take, and what the style is. One of the things that is the most labor intensive, because the work part, I get in the zone and I make them and I go. That part typically goes pretty quick. It is laying out all of that paint over and over and over again.
Mhm.
And because I've got to squeeze all of it out of the tube, right? If I've got 65 colors, that's all those pads, writing out all the colors so that when I need to refill, I just can go a little quicker. Squeezing out all that paint over and over, times 60, starting with 65. And then I go through, I mean, large pieces, I can go through, over 100 tubes of paint. Well, and that's if I'm doing that many, a couple hundred tubes of paint in one
Good
piece.
Lord.
It takes a really long time. My hands hurt from that, and then just the way I use my hands, and then my palettes can only kind of last so many rounds, so that I've got to tear them off, rewrite everything, start over. So it's a really long time just for that. But anywhere from, I'd say usually within a week to a couple weeks to physically do
One
the
of the bigger
pain.
pieces.
Yeah.
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 Wow, that's a long time, but and they turn out beautifully, so it's
Well,
worth
that's
it.
good.
Worth
Thank you.
it. So I know that you and I have talked about another collection that is a little bit more meaningful. And they're your beans. I can see a couple small ones behind you up on the top shelf there. Can you tell us about the beans and where it started and what it means? Because I just love this.
So February 2020, I discovered that my mother had been scammed out of all of her money. Um, it was a phone scam, and she ended up over a period of a couple months giving away all of her money, liquidating all of her assets, and sending all of her money to strangers. When we when I discovered this, she had no money, and could no longer live on her own. So she moved in with us. And then a few short weeks later, the pandemic hit. And we were trying to process all of this, figure out what has happened, how has this happened. This was my parents' life savings of, 45 years, and what my mom was going to live on for the rest of her life. And obviously, very terrifying, shocking, horrific situation. And so, during that time, my mom went back and forth and stayed with us and my sister in Atlanta. And during this over a period of about a year and a half, a little over a year and a half, and we discovered during that time that she had frontotemporal dementia. We were living, she seemed totally fine, totally normal. She was mom. And then we discovered this, and she was gone. Like, the woman that we knew was I never saw her ever again. And so that was very challenging. She declined extremely rapidly. And I lost my dad to progressive supranuclear palsy when I was 26, so 16 years ago. And he was sick for 4 years, and we took care of him. And then here I am, we're doing it all over again with my mom. And her disease was so challenging that I couldn't take my eyes off of her 24/7. She would walk incessantly from the moment she woke up to the time she went to bed. We calculated in our house, because we didn't go anywhere, and I don't live in a big house. From her room to the kitchen, she would get up, walk from her room into the kitchen, look around, not know what she was doing, turn around, walk back to her bedroom, open her door, close her door, look at my room, I turn around, she did that over and over and over again. And we calculated it. She walked anywhere between 11 and 17 miles every single day. Wow. And without stop, you couldn't control it. You couldn't talk to her and tell her anything. And she was so confused. She'd try to walk out of the house, or she flooded the guest bedroom. She broke our kitchen. So, like, physical eyes on her. And so during this time, I had a lot of commissions. I had one in particular, really big, very challenging project. Just very physical labor, like I had to concentrate very hard on Wispies. And I couldn't do that when I had to watch my mom every 2 seconds. And I was not in a good place. And we're in a pandemic. The world felt like it was falling apart everywhere around me. And I just couldn't do my normal work. My just couldn't do it. And art, as you know, is incredibly therapeutic. And so I was like, I just need to sort of sketch or do something else, do some other kind of art that's not, my commissions and my regular work. And so started sketching and these shapes just started coming out. I obviously love shapes and I was doing them, and my girls, my studio mates at the time who helped care for my mom, helped care for me, and I would bring my mom up to the studio and they would help me watch her, keep an eye on her. I mean, I'm Christy Merrill and Annie Griffith, you were my lifesavers. But I was doing these shapes and they just kept coming out. And they said, those kind of look like jelly beans. And I was like, they do kind of look like jelly beans. I don't know where this is coming from, but they still had a happy, joyful feel to me. They made me happy. But they were coming from a really painful place. And I just kind of get them out. Things progressed. My mom eventually ended up moving to a home. And so I wasn't her full-time caregiver anymore. And the beads were still in the background. Knowing one day I need to get back to these. There's something here that I need to explore. And then I got accepted to an artist residency in France, Chateau Orcavo. Shout out to all my Chateau beeps. And I knew no one. And I was going to live in a village of 50 people with 24 strangers for a month. And my mom passed away 5 days before I left to go do that. And we didn't know she was going to pass at that time. And it all worked out as it should. But I went there and I knew I didn't want to do my sculptural little pieces for a lot of reasons. I have a place to do it here. It's heavy, it's expensive, it's difficult to ship, all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to explore other ideas. I have a lot of other ideas. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll do ideas over there. I don't know. We'll just kind of see how I'm inspired. And I just started doing the beans while I was there. And I just kept, I was doing small ones, I was doing big ones. I'd never done big ones before. I'd only done some, I did a 4x12 and like a 9x16, so, small pieces and some sketches in a sketchbook. And so then I started doing these like big ones, and immediately going to the chateau, one of the best things I've ever done in my entire life. I made 23 new family members instantly. We all still talk, and they didn't know my story, right? We all went in as strangers, and over time, I told people, I'm going to walk in and be, hi, Melissa, my mom died 5 days ago. Like, that's not how I wanted to come in. And so you kind of slowly let that out, and you know this, but I realized every single person's going through something, and we all share with each other losses, struggles, suffering, and that so relates to your art, right? All of your experiences should come out through your art. And I was making these beans, and I had one of the smaller studios there, and everybody just ended up in my studio every day. And it was like, I got goosebumps. It was amazing. By the end of it, everybody they left their studios and would just come in, sit on the floor, grab a pillow, sit at one of my tables, and we would just have like 15 people in my studio putting on music, come and go. And I'm just in there getting many. We're all chatting about a million different things. That's in with all the wine, and just it was incredible. And as the weeks went by, I started my last piece. I did 2 large ones. One is a stack. Of kind of a totem pole, if you will. And my second one I knew I wanted to do black and white. I don't do a lot of black and white, but I wanted something stark. I thought that could be really interesting. And so I tacked up my French lid on the wall, and I just walked in and I sketched these shapes in like a minute. It was crazy. They just came out, and I started doing it, and I realized I was looking at it, and I went, oh my gosh, all these beans, these are my chateau people. These are my family here, because we're all like leaning on each other and hugging. Our friend Demi was pregnant with baby Eden at the time, and so one of the beans looks like it's got a little belly. I mean, not on purpose at all. And it
Yeah.
just was like, there's Sean, there's Demi, there's Katie. Like, these beings are people. And I didn't realize it. So then I was thinking about my totem pole, and I named not all of my pieces, but a lot of them after music and songs that I love. And there's a song that I love by Widespread Panic called Climb to Safety. And I named that piece Climb to Safety because it is all the people who lifted me up in like difficult times and just kept lifting me to safety and going, you're okay. We love you. We've got you. We're here for you. We're going to do this together. You are not alone. And I came home from that experience. This was last year, February 2023. And I just have been thinking so much about relationships and what they mean to me, and how no two relationships are ever the same. They even between parent and child, or your best friend, your spouse, anybody, no two relationships in the world are ever the same. And every person in human experience of all of history and in the future will have relationships of some kind. And what do relationships mean to you? And some are for a long time, some are for a very short period, some they come in and out of your life, some are challenging and really hard. Not all relationships are good relationships. And so to me, the beans are really just this study of human relationships. And then not even just human relationships. I did a gaming called Pool Party, and it's my two dogs. It's Jack and Lucy. They're just together, being buddies, loving on each
I love
other
that.
on a warm, sunny day, and just being buds. So yeah, so the beans have a lot of significance to me. And as the more I paint, the more I get to explore that and think about people in my life that have meant something to me. Whether it's, somebody from growing up to a family member or a new friend, and they're a lot of fun to make.
Yeah. No, and that's really, really special. I know obviously it came out of something that was hard, you know. Um, but
It's
obviously,
what me process my grief a lot.
yeah, and it's and I know that we had discussed this, when we had lunch, but it's just like it's really interesting to see how, like, in those moments when you do something like that, and it has to sit, it has to fester, it has to percolate a
Yeah.
little bit in order for it to be able to show, like, you have this idea for a reason. I'm It's getting implanted in you for a reason in your imagination. And then it just takes that time for that little bit of um the time to be away from something hard to be able to look back and go, I know why now.
Yeah.
That
You
light
had to get
bulb.
there for that journey.
Yeah, 100%. You have to go through the crap sometimes to be able to look back, reflect, and go, but look what I created that was so beautiful out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Look how that means to me now. And now you have this fun collection. Obviously, I saw the climb to safety at the other art fair, and it is beautiful. One, the French linen is amazing. Uh
Good.
it's there's something about French linen that is
Mm.
just like it's just different than normal canvas. There, it's a pretty color, and then just your colors that happy and how they're stacked and interlaying with each other. It really is super beautiful.
Thank you.
Um, and yeah, I know that was probably hard to share or talk about, so thank you for sharing. I
Well,
know it's part of
thanks.
your artist journey.
It is, we can't just only think about the good things in our life. They're wonderful and that's important, but it's the suffering and the struggles and the hardships you have in life that are going to build you into the person that you are
100%.
today and who you are to become. And I've had a lot of difficulties and a lot of sadness, and how can I take that pain and turn it into something beautiful?
Yeah.
And these get to be, a love letter to my parents, who I miss greatly, and to everyone who's ever loved me and been there for me. Just thank you. I love you too. You
Yeah.
know, and
And I think it's
you
like
you
really
realize when you are going
special in
through
the sense
the,
that, and just also to think like who else could benefit from that happy joy of like something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's a gift that you're giving to other people who come across it as well, who might have been going through something hard and, you know, go, I needed that little spark of joy.
well, thank you. That's a huge compliment. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Um, so let's shift gears here. Talk about something I know that's super exciting. I briefly mentioned it, but you aren't just an artist. You're on the board of several other things here, and a lot of creative things. You're on the board of the DGFA and the FGI Dallas. Do you want to tell us about the DGFA and what it is and what they're trying to do here in Dallas and what it means?
Yes, I would love to. So DGFA is Dallas Galleries for Advocacy. And there was a group of us that got together and said, how do we build up our artist community and our gallery scene? Dallas, as you know, has an absolutely incredible art scene in our community. But how do we let people know about it? And there was no comprehensive guide in our city that lists out all the galleries. There are a couple groups, and those are amazing, but it doesn't list everybody. So we thought, well, we want to be all inclusive. If you are within the city limits of Dallas, you're in a gallery, you are invited to join. And I happen to have one right here. Um, you, you can pick up a guide at any of our member galleries. We've also delivered them to, hotels, boutiques. I mean, you get them all over town. And if you can't find one, let me know. I can get you some copies. But what these are, we've got sponsors and different information in here. But every gallery, every member gallery has a 2-page spread. So you got an idea of Carlin Ray. She is amazing. Glassblower, this incredible new space that she moved into recently. You can go watch her make art. You can take classes from her. You can shop there. You can host events. So information, and what a cool thing for our city. And we want to make sure that people know about all the options. So in addition to the guide, we print every year. This is our second edition. We started with our first copy in September of 2023. We launched our 2024 edition earlier this year. We do a spring and fall art day with ticketed after party, and so we go around to the different galleries. The art day is free up to the public, noon to 6. Get the back, pop around, go see some art, just enjoy. And then we have our fall gallery day is September 7th. And Carlin Ray is actually going to be hosting the after party, and there'll be glass blowing there. Tickets are only $50. Anybody's invited to come. We have food, beverages, all kinds of stuff, and just great connecting. You came to the last one. We had
I
a lot of
did.
fun
That's how I
together.
hunted you down.
You did, and we had a great time. And then what is also really important to us is to make sure that we're giving back to our community. So we want to obviously support all of our galleries, let people know, have a one-stop shop, where everybody is and who they are. But we also are a nonprofit, so we give back to Dallas Children's Advocacy Center, which is another organization that I've been very involved in for the last 7 years. And they help physically and sexually abused children in our area, and they're non-offending family members. And these kids have been through so much, and DCAC is incredible in the work that they do and the help that they give these kids. And so they're also their supporters. And so we just wanted to continue to raise awareness for them as well, and support our community in all the ways we can.
Yeah. Um, I think that's like having the DGFA around is so important and so cool. And I think I mentioned this to you because like when I first moved here at the end of 2020, and I was so excited that like Dallas had this amazing art scene, and I was like, I'm determined to be a part of it. And I started like Googling, I couldn't find like galleries or, you know, um, when I first moved here at the end of 2020, I was like so determined that I was going to be in this really thriving art, art community in this city that had all this art. And when I started Googling and trying to figure out galleries and stuff, like I couldn't, it was really hard to like, okay, well, what galleries, what? And it was very intimidating, extremely intimidating for someone who is like, technically, I'm still an emerging artist. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll figure it out. I might go to things. And plus, it was the end of COVID and my dad had cancer. And so I couldn't go out and mingle with people still because of his cancer and I was living with him. So it wasn't until like recently in this last year after, my little man was born that I was just like, you know what, I need to start networking and whatnot. And then I was like, oh, what is this DGFA thing? Like, oh, this is really cool. Where was this? Did I miss this? And I was like, no, it's new.
No, it's
But it's
new.
it and the other thing that's like really great about it is that I think it really is going to help like people who are intimidated by galleries. Like there's like people who like they want to learn about art or whatnot, and but they've never stepped foot in a gallery. They almost think it's like
It can be
it's too
scary.
it's super scary because like it has this like superiority complex, because of like the New York art scene. So just like people are
Hey,
like,
the
I'm
pressure
not
of
allowed there.
community. Yeah, are they going to talk to me? Are they going to pressure me to buy art? I can't afford what's in there, or I don't know if I even like it. There are and there are a lot of stigmas that come with it, and Dallas is so big, and to know about all of them. So we got together and we're like, well, we're artists, gallerists, collectors, art lovers, and if and our lives are dedicated to art,
Yeah.
specifically in this city. If we don't know where all the galleries are and who's who and like where everything is, how can anybody else be expected to?
Yeah.
So that's our goal, and we're still just getting started.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so I think it's just really awesome what DGFA is doing and bringing the community together and being, I think it's also a way to help other like younger artists or emerging artists who are kind of intimidated by being part of a gallery scene or figuring out how to be part of a gallery scene. And, obviously I'm still intimidated. I haven't met everyone yet. Like I met I just at the Ferrari gallery I met them for the first time. Um
Oh, you're
what can
great.
what are their first names? I can't remember. James,
Give it,
Deborah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
met I met them for the
Thank you,
very
Deborah.
first time
Thank you.
for the first time. Just, the event that they had a couple weeks ago. So I'm still learning everyone. And thanks to, mostly you going, here, you meet this person, do you this person. So like I appreciate that. And I hope that someday I can turn around and help other people who want to be part of the community and say, oh, you need to know this person, you need to know this person. So it's like a pay it forward kind of thing because, I just know what it's like to be like a new person on a scene and be like, where do I
Yeah.
go? What do I do?
It's
Who do I talk
hard.
to?
Right. It's really hard. It can be really intimidating and scary of where do I start and where do I go? And do you just walk up to strangers? And I do walk up to strangers, but not everybody does that, I realize. And when you meet somebody, then you can go to these things together, and then together you meet more people. And I love connecting people. I just think everybody should be friends with everybody. So, just let's all do this wild thing together, Art's,
Yeah.
like I said earlier, it's so much better when you do it with a group, and you get to bounce ideas and have fun and grow together, right? I mean, now that I do have an amazing community, people go, "Oh, Melissa, I think you should meet this person and get connected here. I think it'd be great. You could show your art here. And hey, this project comes up for me. It's not necessarily the right fit for me, but I know the right artist that would be, the perfect fit for your project." And so when we do all of that together, we can all just go so much further.
Yeah, I always say collaboration over competition, especially in the artist community.
Amen.
It works way better than
There's room for us
having an
all. There are
ego.
no
And
walls out there.
exactly, there are. And plus, if we all get together and put all of our art together, it makes a really beautiful gallery wall.
Yes, it is.
It does. It blends.
It
All
does.
right, so where can people find your work if they want to purchase something from you?
You can find my work at melissaellisart.com. I try to keep it up to date with all my pieces. Sometimes the newer ones, because my dry time is so long, they often have to lay flat, so I can't do good photography until I can lay them upright. But a great way to see like my newest pieces is always on Instagram. I love making time-lapse videos of taking my multiple week process and condensing it down to about 45 seconds. And I'm at Melissa Ellis Art. It's where you can find me on everything. I don't currently have any work out in Dallas at the moment. I do have a show going in Austin right now with Brid Design Group. That'll run for a couple more months. And then I'm going to be partnering with the Bowie Hotel in Fort Worth, and I'm really, really excited about. They have an incredible art collection. You can do art tours there. For anybody who hasn't been, go immediately. It is incredible. We're starting with one piece coming up soon, and then we'll be doing more pieces in public spaces coming up hopefully later this year. But they do really cool events with artists, live painting, lectures, that kind of thing. So I'm going to be doing some stuff there. So I'll post about all that on Instagram as well. So news and events and that kind of thing. You follow me on Instagram is usually the most up to date.
Yeah.
I do send out a couple emails a year. I know I have to blow up people's inboxes. That drives me crazy. But kind of big announcements come through email. So you can always sign up through my website as well for that kind of stuff.
So exciting. So exciting. And I'm so glad that I got to meet you and connect with you. And finally get
Sorry,
to
I was difficult at the beginning.
It's not that you were difficult. It's just when we met, you were like, I'm really busy. I haven't checked my email in a hot second.
I get it sounds awful. I get a lot of messages and requests, and I want to read through all of them and respond accordingly. And I often just have to hit like, what is the most pressing thing right now? And that's just what I got to do. And I tend to move very quickly. So, my very sincere apologies. I'm very excited to do this.
Oh no, it's totally fine. And how we connected was great. Now we have a fun story.
I know.
Now we have a fun meet cute.
Yeah, we do. I love it.
So anyway, thank you so much, Melissa, for coming on the Artist Stoop today. Really appreciate it. And everyone, I will make sure to include her website, Instagram, and any other information, some of the pieces we talked about in the show notes so you all can see them yourselves. Thanks.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
And that, my friends, wraps up another colorful episode of The Artist Stoop. A huge thank you to our incredible guests for sharing their art and stories. If you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on the next Stoop chat. And don't forget to spread the love. Share your favorite episodes with fellow art enthusiasts, and let's build this community together. Connect with us on social media at Jay Studio and Jillian Zepeda Art for behind-the-scene peeks, artist spotlights, and a sneak peek at my own art. Until next time, stay inspired, stay curious, and keep that creative fire burning. This is Jillian Zepeda signing off from the Artist Stoop. And remember, the world is your canvas, so paint it vividly.